She found him curled up on the floor, not from pain, but from what he had become. And still, she stayed. In that silence, 1,000 quiet stories began to unfold. None more powerful than the kind of love that doesn't scream, doesn't run, the kind that stays when everything else falls apart. Albert was the bright one, the curious one. His eyes sparkled with wonder, each question a doorway, each moment a new discovery. He'd chase the wind, outrun the afternoons, and wear out the sun itself with his joy. Then he'd run to Ma with big, breathless questions. Why does the sky change at dusk? He stole. He lied. He shattered a trust once as strong as the old oak in their front yard. And slowly, heartbreakingly, he began to vanish. Not in body, but in soul. Right before the eyes of those who loved him most, Albert faded. In his place stood a stranger, haunted, hollow, unreachable. Charles, Albert's father, was a man of quiet strength. His hands didn't just build a home, they built safety, warmth, a promise that no matter how cruel the world outside became, inside these walls, love would be enough. But now, Charles stood helpless. He hadn't raised a thief. He hadn't raised a liar. He'd raised a bright, curious boy, a boy who simply lost his way. But addiction doesn't knock. It doesn't ask. It barges in uninvited and takes, and takes, and takes. Each day, it stole something more. The laughter at the table, the unspoken trust, the light in his son's eyes. You could see it in Ma's eyes. Not just disappointment, but heartbreak. A kind of pain so deep it threatened to swallow her whole. She clung to hope that somewhere beneath the silence, beneath the lies, her boy was still there. But hope is fragile. It flickers like a candle in the wind, and some nights, it was so faint, she feared it had gone out completely. One night, after another slammed door, after another fight that left the house aching, Charles stepped outside. There on the porch sat Albert, alone, shivering though the summer air was warm. And in that moment, the anger in Charles's chest melted, replaced by something quieter, something heavier. He didn't speak. He didn't scold. He simply sat beside his son. No words, just presence. Because sometimes the loudest kind of love is silent. The night was heavy with things unsaid. Albert sat there, shoulders trembling. Not from the cold, but from the weight of everything he couldn't say. And then, barely louder than the crickets in the dark, he whispered, "I didn't mean to become this." The words hung in the air, bare, unsteady, a boy's quiet cry for forgiveness, for help, for home. Charles, who rarely let his tears fall, felt them now hot, helpless. He reached out, placed a steady hand on Albert's back and said softly, "Then let's find our way back, together." No promises, no neat answers, just that one choice to begin again. And sometimes, that's how hope is born. Not in grand gestures, but in the quiet decision to stay. Recovery wasn't a miracle. It was a quiet war, fought day by day, temptation by temptation. Each sunrise brought a new reason to give up, and yet a new chance not to. Trust had to be rebuilt not with promises, but with small acts, consistent, imperfect, brave. Some days progress was a tearless breakfast. Other days it was just getting out of bed. Still, every morning they chose each other. Albert had broken their hearts, but the family didn't break him. They bent, but didn't snap. They learned to carry both the pain and the hope. To sit in silence, to forgive without words, to stay when staying wasn't easy. Because sometimes, love isn't loud. It's not dramatic. It's just choosing again. To show up, to reach out, to believe. Even when it hurts, in one quiet moment, no audience, no applause, Albert returned what he had truly stolen. Not objects, but trust, hope, the belief that he was still in there somewhere. He didn't say much. He didn't need to. He showed it, in every honest act, in every choice to be better, in every step back toward the boy they once knew. Because sometimes, Redemption isn't loud. It's steady. It's slow. And it's earned. One small, brave moment at a time. If you've ever watched someone you love drift so far away, you weren't sure they'd return. If you've ever sat in the quiet, helpless, waiting for a flicker of the person they used to be. If you've ever walked yourself out of the dark, step by aching step, this story is yours. Because healing isn't loud. It's not quick. And it's never perfect. It's made of whispered apologies, of sitting beside someone in the dark, of holding on to the fragile hope that what's broken doesn't have to stay that way. So if this touched something in you, if it reminded you of someone you've loved, or someone you're still loving through the hard parts, you're not alone. And neither are they. Leave a comment. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And if you believe in love that stays, subscribe. This isn't just a story, it's a mirror, and maybe a soft place to land.